It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
So my friends, how important is the Supreme Court Justice, or the Supreme Court of the state of Pennsylvania? Well, in the last 2 or 3 years, you've seen how important they are. They're very important. We have a person on today who is achieving to be a Supreme Court judge in the state of Pennsylvania. No stranger to people who know him. His name is Kevin Brobson, and he is the current president judge of the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. And he wants to be the Supreme Court judge in the state of Pennsylvania. Kevin, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Sam. Appreciate it.
Before I get to the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, this is an extremely important position. I mean, now more than ever, people should really analyze and scrutinize and see who they're going to put in as a Supreme Court judge. Now, I'm always, when I don't meet a person for the first time and I meet them, I always like to know about them, okay? Your background, etc. So share that with us.
Sure. Well, I was born in north central Pennsylvania in Lycoming County, a little town called Montoursville. My father was a Pennsylvania state trooper. My mother stayed at home with us until they were both convinced that my brother and I wouldn't destroy the house. My parents taught me the values I think that are implicit in everybody, most Pennsylvanians, is honesty, integrity, hard work, family, faith in God, love of country, and these are the values that I've taken with me through college at Lycoming College and then at law school down in Harrisburg at Widener, where I was second in my class. Graduated, went to Philadelphia for a year as a federal clerk, came back to Harrisburg, went into private practice, and met my beautiful wife of 22 years, Lauren. She's given me 3 wonderful children. My 20-year-old daughter, Claire, is a pediatric cancer survivor, goes to Seton Hill University in Greensburg studying art therapy, really wants to give back to the kids who were in situations like she was when she was growing up. My 18-year-old son is an Eagle Scout. He is a student athlete, scholar athlete, and he is going to be attending George Washington University in the fall along with my tuition dollars. However, he did get a 3-year Army ROTC scholarship, so we're really proud of Will. And then I have a 13-year-old son who is a New York Giants fan. Still trying to figure that one out a little bit, but we think it has something to do with Saquon Barkley, and we're big Penn State people. So he was really excited about the draft last night. But it's I'm blessed to have a beautiful family, particularly supporting a statewide race like this. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is very large, but you have to get to all 67 counties. And I'm honored to take my message of being a justice on the Supreme Court that just cares about government following the law, and I think people want to see that.
Going back to when you were in college days, what made you decide that you wanted to become an attorney?
I think I wanted to be an attorney before even college. My earliest memories of it were when I was 8 or 9 years old, just talking to my father. My father, as a law enforcement officer, always had a very strong interest in the law and the practice of law, and I think he probably would have gone to law school had he gotten the chance, but he was really focused on raising us and giving us every opportunity he didn't have. He was originally from Philadelphia. It's where he grew up. His father was a Philadelphia city police officer, so he really wanted to focus on giving us all the opportunities that we had, and I think he saw me going to law school as a way for him to go to law school. And I just had a deep interest in justice issues and making sure people, their rights were protected, that the laws were followed, and I saw that as a path that gave me the opportunity to do that.
When did you decide to run for judge?
In 2009, I ran for Commonwealth Court judge, one of our statewide appellate court judges just underneath the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. It wasn't something I was planning to do. My wife and I had just returned from my daughter's Make-A-Wish trip in Florida. So I get back and you get a phone call from people who are really encouraging you to run and meet with people. And it's almost like anything. God opens up a door and you just have to decide whether you're going to walk through it. It came at a pretty inconvenient time for me and my family. But my wife and I prayed about it and said, this is the opportunity that we're given, and we did it. And it was a blessing in so many ways, meeting so many people, seeing so many people in the state, and it's been my honor to serve the people of Pennsylvania for the last 11 years.
Now, the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, you know, Corey Stevens on the Superior Court, he was on the Supreme Court, he does a show here, I told you, the Judge Stevens show. Very important position, prestigious position. When you ran the first time, what were some of the things that you were telling people about you and why they should vote for you for a Commonwealth Court?
Yeah, so the Commonwealth Court, the Commonwealth Court is unique among courts in the country, and Pennsylvanians are really blessed to have it because it's the court that makes sure government follows the law. So right under the Supreme Court, we have two intermediate appellate courts, the Superior Court that Justice Stevens sits on, and the Commonwealth Court. They both hear appeals from the local county common pleas courts, but the Superior Court hears appeals dealing with cases of people following the law. So criminal cases, family law cases, things like that. The Commonwealth Court hears appeals from your common pleas courts and state administrative agencies dealing with government issues, local land use issues, educating our children, caring for our elderly, our environment, taxation, things like that. Those are the cases that we get on the Commonwealth Court. So what I told people in '09 when we ran at a time where people had really lost a lot of faith in the judiciary. The Kids for Cash had happened, the pay raise had happened, and what I told people is we just need to restore faith in the judiciary. Pennsylvanians deserve to have a judiciary in which they can have confidence that it's not political. The message actually wasn't that different than what the message is today as well. Sadly, it's just different. It's just a different scenario. But I told people that, look, I had a background in holding government accountable, 14 years of private practice representing people in industry that have to deal with government. And all people ever really want when I talk to them is they just want government to follow the law just like government expects them to follow the law. So that's what I offered, and thank goodness the people of Pennsylvania elected me.
Well, you ran and you won, okay, and then after 10 years, I think, then they appointed you president judge.
Yep, I stood for retention in 2019, so I was retained for another 10-year term in 2019, and then December of last year, my colleagues on the Commonwealth Court, Democrats and Republicans from all part of the state, elected me to serve as the 10th president judge of the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, and I'm honored to do that.
You know, when you look at the importance of any judge, I mean, I've had a number of common pleas court candidates coming on and telling people about who they are. And I always like to know about the substance of the person, okay? I may not agree with a lot of things, as we could agree to disagree. But I think when you're looking at the way society is going in the last maybe 3-4 years, I'm in the media, and sometimes I'm not proud of it. I ask this question to everyone who is running for judge or are currently judges. How much does the media have influence over you or in your position?
Well, it should have zero influence over judges. And in fact, politics shouldn't have any influence over judges. I tell people that, I don't wear a red robe and I don't wear a blue robe, I wear a black robe. And when you take this job, particularly in handling the high profile cases that I've had to handle over this last many years, it's very important for judges to tune that out. Our job is to take the facts and the evidence that are presented to us, to review them in a fair and impartial light and apply the law as written to those facts impartially, not based on what you're hearing on social media or in the 24-hour news cycle. We have to be the constant. The judiciary has to be the constant. What changes is when you elect state legislators every 2 or 4 years, or you elect a governor every 4 years. But people have to rely on the judicial branch as being the constant, as being that level arbiter of the law, fairness to everybody, and applying the law as written and not legislating from the bench.
You know, Kevin, I agree with you, but then I've seen what happened over the last couple of years with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And I have a difficult time believing that the Supreme Court that we have in Pennsylvania did not play party lines and did not say what you just said. Okay, that's my opinion. Okay, and that's the thing where I think where people become discouraged. Because whether you're on the winning side or the losing side, it doesn't make any difference. Because if you're on the winning side today, you're a hero. But if you're on the losing side, you'd say, geez, I wish they would have been fair, okay? And I don't know how much that plays on a person like you as honest. And I looked at your background, and when I talked to people about you coming on my show, they had the highest regard for you, okay?
appreciate that.
Which is fabulous, okay? So that's the thing where you said people lose confidence, okay? How do you bring that confidence back?
Well, and Sam, that's why I got into the race. I mean, I didn't get into the race out of any personal ambition to be a Supreme Court justice. I am so honored and blessed to have the opportunity to serve people on the second highest appellate court in Pennsylvania and to serve as their president judge. But from my viewpoint, the cases that people are so concerned about, that they've lost confidence in a fair and impartial Supreme Court or a non-political court, and it's perception. Perception is very important to me. Are the cases that my court deals with, the election law cases, the congressional redistricting cases, the handling of the COVID pandemic orders and things like that. Good faith, hardworking, God-fearing Pennsylvanians just feel like they just didn't have a shot in front of the Supreme Court. And to me, that's the travesty. So I could sit by and be the Commonwealth Court judge and doing what I'm doing, or I could put myself in the race and say, look, I have the experience to make sure government is held accountable. The current Supreme Court justices just don't have that experience. They don't come from the Commonwealth Court. They come from different backgrounds. And I can't help but feel that if I have that opportunity to serve the people of Pennsylvania up there, I can bring that new perspective of making sure government is held as accountable to the law as the government expects its people to be held accountable to the law.
I wrote this down, accountability. That's exactly what I wrote down is where's the accountability? And, the days of that are saying, oh, you're a Republican, I'm voting for only Republicans. You're a Democrat, I'm voting for only Democrats. Those days, I think, should be gone. If you're going to vote for a person, if they're Republican, make sure that they have the qualifications and you feel good. You mentioned about your family, okay? Family is important to everybody.
Right.
I think the Hollywood media is trying to destroy the family. This is my opinion. I think a lot of liberal judges or liberal people who are in office don't have that feeling for, with the abortions and with all the things that, we were born and raised to be good people, to respect life, to respect, work hard and build a family up. What amazes me is when I see some people who are highly educated still feel that it's okay to do the things that are against, God and our moral values. I mean, I'm not preaching here, but I just have a problem with that.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine my life and anything that is good has happened to me without my faith, which is a cornerstone of my life, without my wife, who is my partner that God has given to me, without my children that God has given to me, without the struggles that God has put in front of me, with my children, with my family, with my faith. I mean, we are tested every day. That's what we are put. This isn't supposed to be a walk in the park life here on earth. This is a test every day, and I'm thankful every day that God has given me the faith that He's given me, that God has given me the family that He's given me. I can't imagine what kind of person I would be if I did not coach my kids in Little League and soccer. I can't imagine what kind of person I would be if I didn't have that conversation with my daughter about her first boyfriend. These are all things that have made me a better person, and my wife has made me a better person, and I can't imagine life without that.
It's interesting, Judge Brobson, that you're saying, you mentioned God. And sometimes, right now in some areas in law or whatever, when you mention God, all of a sudden you think you're saying a bad word, and when you talk about fate, and those are the thing I think that for seniors in their 60s and 70s who grew up like your father and my father and mother did, it breaks their heart to see that they want to take God out of this, they want to take God out of that, they want to take God out of everything. And the extreme liberals think that's okay. And yet these are intelligent people. I have a problem with that. I really do. I guess I get dumber every time I do my shows. Believe me, because I don't understand how anyone in law who is in a position would not think about family values. Okay? And of course, we could go on and that. But you are to be admired to the fact that you stand up for what you believe. And that's important, I think, Kevin.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's the one thing my wife and I promised whenever we got into races, whether it was in '09 and 2021 here, that we were going to be who we were. We were not going to compromise who we were for anything, and put ourselves out there. When I say ourselves, look, when you put yourself out there, you put your family out there. This running statewide in a judicial race is not for the faint of heart, but it has to be a family experiment. My youngest is thrilled because he's getting phone calls from his friends or texts from his friends about pictures that they're seeing of him around there, and then coming in his mail and stuff like that. So we try to make it fun, but we are who we are. And I've like I said, I have served the people of Pennsylvania for the last 11 years. They don't have to guess what kind of Supreme Court justice I am going to be. I am honored by the respect and the reputation that I have and the record I have of ruling in cases, and I take that with me, and that stands as a testament to what kind of justice I'm going to be.
Must have been a little concerning. You sit in a good position to decide to move to the Supreme Court.
Well, I felt compelled to do it.
There had to be a reason for you to do that, okay? Because if you're making a move, I sort of sense some of the reasons for that, but the fact that you've done so well where you're at now with the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, and now you want to take that knowledge and move it to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I felt compelled to do it. I have a vantage point as the president judge of the court and as the judge on the court for, with the most appellate experience of anybody running, to see people lose faith in, and it's not about necessarily the results and the decisions that the Supreme Court has issued. It's about people just want to know why. I tell people that I won't guarantee you a particular result in the case. If you agree with me 50% of the time, I'm in the Hall of Fame. But what I try to tell people is I write opinions for the public, so the public can understand why I did what I did and hold me accountable. And I think a lot of the reason why people have lost faith over the last several years is because they just don't understand the why. And as judges, we need to do a better job of explaining to the people why.
Before I go to break, that's exactly what I'm coming is that the average person out there, okay, when you're out there campaigning and looking for their votes, I'd like to know what they're asking you or telling you, okay, which is because these are people that, you're serving, okay. I'm talking to Judge Kevin Brobson, folks. He is the president judge of the Common Court of Pennsylvania. He wants to be your Supreme Court judge in the state of Pennsylvania. No secret about his record. He's been there for a while. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. 24/7, 24/7 SSPTV.com. On 3 systems, Comcast 190, Service Electric Cable 13513, and the Wilkes-Barre system, channel 92. Thank you for the comments. My email is sam@ssptv.com. Interesting times. May 18th, we have an election. I know how you're thinking. I don't know if I'm going to vote. Will my vote count on all this stuff? Folks, vote. It's important. And I'll tell you why it's important. We're having judicial candidates running. Very important position in the state of Pennsylvania is the Supreme Court. You make your own decisions. You see what happened over the last 2 or 3 years. Kevin Brobson is a president judge of the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, and he wants to be your next Supreme Court judge. Now, Kevin, you're campaigning. You said there's 67 counties in Louisiana, in the state of Pennsylvania. Yep. Big state. When you're out there and you're talking to people, and this is Kevin Brobson, he's running for Supreme Court judge. What are people saying to you?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit sad to hear, but it's exactly what I sort of expected. Is many people, and we travel all through the state, have lost faith in a fair and impartial judiciary. They feel like their votes aren't going to count based on some of the things that happened in last year's election, and they really want to see the courts stand up for the people, stand up for the constitutional rights, hold government accountable to the law, just as government expects people to follow the law. And they have, a lot of people that I talk to just feel that that's not happening. And again, that's one of the reasons why I got into this race, was that's what I've been doing for 14 years in private practice and 11 years as the People's Commonwealth Court judge. That's the perspective I believe in. I want everybody to have faith in a fair and impartial judiciary. I don't care what political spectrum you're on. We need to start listening to people who are concerned about it and start remedying it.
I'm hoping and praying that we get people in office. First of all, I applaud anyone who's running for office today, because you're running for a position that they're not going to attack you too much as much as when you're running for senator or legislator or governor, and they drag your family, they drag your ancestors, it's just a power grab, okay? And it's a shame that you can't have a good debate. Hey, as a lawyer, how many times you've gone into court with a friend of yours who was the other side, and you had to argue your case? You didn't mean you hated the person, you just argued your case, okay? And when you leave, you may still have a beer with the guy or a dinner. And that's the way I think it should be, Kevin, don't you think?
I do. I think the big problem of why we're where we are and raising 3 children, I completely understand this, is we're not allowing people to have a free exchange of ideas and to listen to each other. We get too concerned about how one viewpoint is going to harm the feelings of another or whatever. But I think the free exchange of ideas is what makes our country so wonderful. And we should be able to sit down and have a free exchange of ideas and disagree if we have to, and disagree vehemently if we must. But to be able to have that free exchange of ideas, that's what makes our country so wonderful. We're not teaching our children to have those free exchange of ideas. We're not teaching our children how to have those debates. And I think it's going to make our country lesser because of it. So I live in a world where I have free exchange of ideas with colleagues on the bench of mine who come from different backgrounds and different political philosophies or what have you, and we're still friends, we're still collegial. And that's a must in our judiciary. And if the judiciary can be an example of that to the people of Pennsylvania, then I want to be part of that example.
I would pray that everyone would think the way you think, okay? I see here you have endorsements from the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation, highly recommended, highest rating from Pennsylvania Bar Association Judicial Evaluation Commission, which is fabulous. Firearms Owners Against Crime. And there's a list of endorsements that you could see probably on his website. It's funny when you say about arguing things. I was recently honored by the Pro-Life of Pennsylvania for being the voice of the unborn. And that's my pro. If anything I endorse is pro-life. But when people who don't agree with you, you could have a debate. Some people get so upset that I have one lawyer's wife who told the lawyer, her husband, "You're not advertising on Sam Lesante show anymore. He's pro-life."
Yeah.
I'm trying to save baby. And we have that nonsense. So I'm hoping that we have a different viewpoint with our judicial system, particularly with the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I think I'm proud to have the endorsements that I have. The Pro-Life Federation endorsed me in 2009 when I ran, endorsed me for my retention, and have endorsed me in this race as well as the only candidate endorsed by the National Rifle Association and Gun Owners of America. What these endorsements mean to me is that people understand that I have principled values that I carry with me. It's not a matter of guaranteeing how I'm going to roll one way or another, but people want to know who you are when you run. And these are the values that I was raised growing up in. I'm a proud gun owner. I believe that the Second Amendment is as important as the First Amendment. And I view that, have that viewpoint in every case that I deal with. And I also believe life is precious. I remember the day that my wife and I went in and had the first ultrasound for my daughter. And nobody could believe if you have children, you understand this, the amount of love that you feel at that moment and instantaneous. And that's a matter of grace from God, and it's a matter of understanding the importance of it. And I'll never forget that day, and it was equally joyous the other 2 days for my 2 boys as well. But boy, when you hear you have that girl, that as a father, that just melts your heart. Stays with you forever.
Well, Judge Kevin Brobson, you certainly have a slew of endorsements here. You have family values, okay, and you're not afraid to express your faith. You're not afraid to express what you believe in, and hence I think that's why you've had all these endorsements, plus your own judicial system as giving you honors. I wish you the best, okay, in your endeavor to become our Supreme Court Justice. You got about a minute. Tell our audience why they should vote for Judge Kevin Brobson for Supreme Court Judge.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. You know, I'm completely honored to serve the people of Pennsylvania as an appellate judge, having done it for 11 years. I think we need to reinstill in people a faith in the judiciary, that it's not political, and that government will be held accountable to the law. That's my plan. That's what I've done for the last 11 years. I'd be honored to have your support to do that as your next Pennsylvania Supreme Court Justice.
It says here, Judge Kevin Brobson, trusted, tested, and fair. You can certainly find out more about him via this show, but know who you're voting for. The Supreme Court, very, very important position. Vote wisely, look at the candidates. You have a man here who is not afraid to express his love for his family, love for the state, love for helping people out, plus a lot of great endorsements. I wish you the best.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
And tell Lauren I'd like to meet her someday.
We'll make that happen.
She's really a live wire.
Yes, she's great. Fantastic. Thank you.
We'll see you next time.